can't believe it's been over a year since I whined about the toys I wish I had when I was a kid. So, stick around. Hello, Nostalgia Seekers, and welcome to Sentimental. My name is Rob, and back in the day, for the episodes of Toys I Wish I Had When I Was a Kid, I would put those under the Nostalgia Syndrome series of videos. Now I'm going to put those under the Sentimental series because these are more of a reflection of my history, my memories, my past, my psyche, and also looking for a good enough reason to resurrect the Sentimental show. I know, not a big deal, but it's just one of those little housekeeping things that makes me happy, so thank you. Anyway, this is Toys I Wish I Had When I Was a Kid, number 16. And like I said in the little cold open, it's been over a year since I've done one of these videos, and that absolutely surprises me, because the toys that I missed out on when I was a kid is a very large and seemingly endless list. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff to take a look at. And this is a little bit different than my other videos because a lot of these are more popular toys that I don't really talk about. So this is my opportunity to talk about those more popular toys and my little bit of background and history with them. Anyway, enough of that stuff. Let's get to number one. Number one is kind of cheating because it's not a toy at all, but it's a nostalgic item nonetheless. They are the ALF trading cards released in 1987 by Topps. More specifically, just because I cannot pronounce it, I'll put the word here, the baseball cards that were inserted in the packs randomly. There were two series of ALF cards in 87 and 88, and between those two series there were 44 of these baseball cards. Now, this game, I remember them kind of showing it in the ALF cartoon, where they would throw a fish and someone would hit it like a baseball. But the hilarity didn't end there because it's a Melmacian game. It's completely crazy and off the rails. Now, the one thing I really liked about these cards was the artwork. They kind of had that wacky package, garbage pail kid feel to them because they're kind of gross because of the fish and fish guts aspect of it. And they just kind of had that painted feel of the wacky packages, or the Dinosaur Attacks or Mars Attacks trading cards. Now, I know I will not have an opportunity to show all 44 cards, but hopefully I'm cycling through a good many of them for you to see. Anyway, we're going to skip through all the different rules of the game and things like that because they're pretty well thought out, and they had 26 different positions out on the field. Anyway, I just think these are really neat, and when I saw them when I was a kid, probably from some kid with a binder full of them, I really wanted them. But with the random nature of pulling them from random packs of the ALF cards, I just never really tried. I mean, who wants to get stuck with different screenshots from the show, especially if they got Willie and that stupid kid in them? Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to number two. Our second toy is one that I remember obsessing about endlessly. Every time I would see it on the shelves, I would stare at it for what seemed like forever. And of course, I was never able to get it, and I assume it's because it was quite pricey. This was the RC Rad Skate by Matchbox, released in 1988. See, growing up, the only remote-controlled vehicles I had were ones tethered with a wire, and if you know, those sucked. They were not fun at all. You could only go a couple feet and you had to keep up with it, and it couldn't do any of the awesome tricks that you would see other RC vehicles doing. Now, this Rad Skate was all about the tricks, and it came with a real legit pistol gripped controller with the little tire steering wheel and trigger for speed and reverse, I guess? I don't know. I never played with one before. So all I know is this thing was made to do tricks, and it just looked awesome. And in the late 80s, when I was in middle school, I was completely obsessed with skateboarding, even though I sucked at it. So I thought I could live vicariously through this little RC dude. Could I have? I don't know. I was never able to get one, and it still haunts me today. So what makes me feel better? Watching the original commercial from 1988 that features a young Tony Hawk.
RC, Rad Skate, turning on the dime, cutting in between. He's a totally radical skate machine.
RC Rad Skate, radio control skateboarder you make perform like the pros.
Awesome! It's so cool!
He's a totally radical skate machine.
RC Rad Skate, radio control skateboarder new from Matchbox.
It's totally rad!
There's one thing you will never hear me talk about, and that's sports. Doesn't matter what sport, what player, what ball, not my bag. And it was never anything in my family, so I just never grew up around it, and I never played any sports other than what they told us to play in gym class. But even though for not having a love of sports, I did have a love for one person, and that was Cal Ripken Jr. Growing up in Maryland, he was the closest thing to a bona fide superhero. So when Kenner released their starting lineup figures in 1988, I just needed to get a Cal Ripken Jr. figure. And to be honest, I never even saw one on the shelf. I remember seeing these toys, just pegs and pegs and pegs of them, all different types of sports, all different types of players. But I never saw a Cal Ripken Jr. one. And I think this may have been my first exposure into toy scalping, because you have the fanaticism of sports crossed with the fanaticism of toys for a perfect storm of overpriced fanaticism collectibles. I can guess this toy goes for a pretty penny nowadays. I mean, it makes sense. It's a sports collectible and an 80s toy. Two things that go for just crazy amounts of money out on the open market. So yeah, there's no way I'll ever get this into my collection, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I mean, Cal Ripken is still like a god for my Maryland sensibilities, but I think I can let this one go.
It's a hit! New starting lineup! The official collection of Major League Baseball stars. So real they seem alive. There's Gary Carter, great uniform. Wally Joyner, hitting a homer. Ozzie Smith.
Looks just like him!
And each has a collector's card. Find out who hit the most home runs, who had the most strikeouts. Yes, fans, starting lineup. So real they seem alive. Collect all your favorite Boston Red Sox and Detroit Tigers, like Wade Boggs and Jack Morris. Each sold separately from Kenner.
Our fourth toy is a great example of a 2-for-1 special, because it is two awesome toys in one. This was the laser rifle carrying case for Star Wars, released by Kenner in 1984. Now, of course, carrying cases were the bomb. Do kids still say that? They were great. And I was lucky enough to have the Darth Vader carrying case. Mind you, most of the stickers it came with, I didn't even have the figures for, but that's beside the point. This carrying case housed your figures, and you could run around the backyard with it as a laser rifle. I mean, how awesome is that? You could show up to your grandparents with your figures and a gun, and have hours of enjoyment while they watched Hee Haw. At least my grandparents did. Anyway, back in the 80s, carrying cases were all the rage. There were just completely awesome and inventive carrying cases, and even the knockoff ones featured great artwork and were a place to store your figures. But this laser rifle carrying case is like the cream of the crop. I mean, like I said, you get 2 toys out of this. And people out there that actually had this, please comment that did it hold together well, or if you were running around the house or the backyard with it, did your figures just spill out everywhere, or were you able to enjoy both aspects of it and carry your figures and fight the Empire? Our 5th and final toy that I wish I had when I was a kid is a pretty big one. I mean, still big in my heart and in my mind and to all the fans out there. And definitely one I wish I had now, and yeah, I'd be playing with this sucker non-stop. It's actually one that Hasbro has re-released and reproduced with new bells and whistles and action figures and all that through their little Kickstarter campaign. This is the Sky Striker, released by Hasbro in 1983. To be completely honest, I think only one kid I knew growing up actually had one of these, and he was one of those kids that you weren't allowed to play with his toys. He could play with them in front of you, but God forbid you lay a finger on anything he owned. Kinda sucked. I don't even know if I would consider that a friend nowadays, but you know what I mean. When you're a kid, you just wanted to play, and I got to play with my meager little Joe collection over here, while he played with his gigantic Joe collection over here, where he had the aircraft carrier, the Sky Striker, the killer whale, what have you. He had it all. So here I am playing with my little handful of figures, and here he's having full-fledged battles all by himself and making me look like a punk. Anyway. The Sky Striker, it's a work of art, even to today's standards, because the reproduction that Hasbro released is pretty darn close to the original. Like I said, it has new bells and whistles, new missiles and missile effects and different characters and all that awesome stuff, but for the price tag they were asking, I couldn't. Now, I would love to see that you could get an original one for less than what that thing was going for. I mean, you can keep all the bells and whistles and stuff. I just want the original Sky Striker and Ace. It doesn't even have to be in great condition, just good enough condition where I can play with it and display it and have fun with it and relive those childhood dreams that I was never able to fulfill. Anyway, we're going to end things with the Sky Striker with presenting you the original commercial from 1983.
He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe.
Cobra Invasion! Get the G.I. Joe Sky Striker! Ace the Airborne, let's get those turkeys! We're gonna get Cobra this time! Our combat jets are on the way! Hey, check my missiles! They're A-OK! Great, I'm going down for a closer look! Way to go, Joe!
G.I. Joe Sky Striker comes with Ace and 2 parachutes. Other figures sold separately from Hasbro.
Okay, folks, that was just a look at 5 toys I wish I had when I was a kid. Like I said, this is volume 16, and I also mentioned that it's been over a year. The last one I did of these was in December of 2022, and that just feels like a lifetime ago. And I'm really glad to be doing these again, and I'm glad that I was able to just put it under the banner of sentimental, because like I said, it kind of fits that motif of my own history, my own memories, my own psyche around these toys. So look for more of these in the future, and the offshoot that I do of toys I wish I still had. So 2024, we're going to do some more of these, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them, and I love getting back to everybody. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this, or any of the other episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you'll be notified whenever there's new episodes. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Keep being rad, and stay dorky.